Hey everyone, I'm Matt with Ozark Overland Adventures, and in this video we're going to talk about this teeny tiny little 288 watt hour power station from Enernova. I have been doing a lot more reviews on bigger power stations, but I think there is a definite use case for little guys like this. I had never heard of Enernova before until they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to check this one out. I said in another video for a different power station that, you know, we're all familiar with the big name brands, the Jackeries, the Blue Eddies, the EcoFlows, the Anchors. But I wanted to start checking out some of these brands that I've never heard of before. So here we've got the Enernova, and the question is it any good? Is it worth it? Short answer, yes, and let me tell you why. This is a 288 watt hour power station, so it's in that sub 300 watt hour power station range, and I think that's perfect if your goal is to keep electronics charged, and that's exactly how I've been using this on a recent trip that I just got back from Oregon. This little guy did fantastic. It has some unique design features that we'll get into. But the specs on this pretty much check all the boxes. 288 watt hours, 600 watt pure sine inverter. I love the fact that power station companies are starting to put inverters that are rated for twice the amount of their power. That gives you a lot more flexibility in the things that you can power, especially off AC. And in a pinch, you can run some higher powered needs off of this thing because, I mean, chances are you're not going to have to do it for very long. So this can take care of that for you. It does have a peak of 1100 watts, so as you're plugging different things into it and they have that initial power ramp up and come back down, this can handle that. I also have their 100 watt solar panel that they sent me to check out with it. And this thing is very well constructed. It's just a nice, simple, single folding panel here. It is IP68 waterproof rating, which means, if you're at camp and you have this thing set up out in the, just out charging, and a massive thunderstorm comes through, dumps a bunch of rain on it, you don't have to worry. This thing can survive it. IP68 rating is incredible. I mean, you can pretty much submerge it. You won't get any solar out of it that way, but it can take it. So that's pretty awesome. I'm very impressed with the construction and the performance of the solar panel. So thumbs up for that. The Enernova has all the standard ports that you would expect. It's got 2 AC outlets rated at 600 watts combined. It's got 2 standard USB-A ports. It's got 1 USB-A quick charge port, and it's got 1 65 watt PD port USB-C that does both input and output. So that's awesome. It's got a small barrel plug input here and a slightly larger barrel plug output. So if you have an adapter, if you have a device that runs off a DC off one of these barrel plugs, you're good to go. Or you can get one of those barrel plug to cigarette lighter outputs, and if you need to run a couple things off that, you can. So lots of flexibility. And then there's 1 standard cigarette lighter output here. And as you can see, it's got a couple different lights. It's got this right here is actually a very nice reading light. So it's got different brightness settings. This pulls very little power, so you could set this on a table, shine it here for reading, playing cards, getting some work done, whatever at night. It's actually a very nice diffused light. Normally I don't like flashlights on power stations, but that type of light shining down here on a table, that's very useful. And then it has the actual flashlight that has 2 settings and then an SOS. In case you are carrying this around and you get lost and you need a signal for help, you can. So with the power station this size, a flashlight makes sense, and it is very nice and bright. So I don't fault them for putting a flashlight on this. It's the big, 1,000 watt power stations like the Jackeries have that have the little flashlight on the end. No one's carrying that around as a flashlight. That's ridiculous. But this is, this actually makes sense. This only weighs 8.8 pounds, so it's not hard to carry around. The screen on it has all the information that you would need. I will say one gripe that I have is that, you know, for as much information as they have on the screen, they don't give you a battery percentage. So I find that to be a bummer. You've just got this little battery gauge that, you know, ticks off in 20% increments. I wish on this screen with all this info, it had an actual percentage to tell you it's at 76% or whatever, instead of just the little bars. It does have a temperature reading, so it will tell you the temperature for wherever it is. I mean that's kind of handy. I would rather have you know, a battery percentage there, but it's handy. There's not many power stations that have that. And in addition to all the normal ports and stuff, it has a wireless charging pad for your phones or whatever. You can turn that on and then slide your phone in there. And now my phone's charging. I love the wireless charging pad feature. I wish more and more power station companies would go to that. Those that do tend to be some of my favorites. So good job, Enernova, there. As far as inputs go, it's got the input for the USB-C, 65 watts input there. It's got the barrel plug input here. So if you have a solar panel that plugs in with the barrel port, you know, if you're not using Ennernovas, but you have another solar panel, you can use third-party ones. You can plug those in there. And then on the back, there is an XT60 port. The XT60 port, I think is probably the preferred method for charging. If you get the solar panel, you do get this quite long MC4 connector cord. And at the end of it, for whatever reason, this actually, I guess in case you're not using it with the Enernova power station, but you get the little barrel port. So you have the option of plugging that in there if you need the front input, depending on how it's set up. Or you've got the XT60 port here in the back. So I like the fact that they include the different options. It even has the smaller Anderson adapter, depending on your needs. But you get all that in one little bundled cord. So that's pretty handy. I did test the Enernova and the solar panel. Did that this morning. It's quite hazy. I mean, we are in the middle of summer here in Arkansas, and it's hot, it's humid, lots of haze in the sky. So, you know, was getting around 61, 62 watts out of the 100-watt panel. In those conditions, I'd say that's pretty good. I do have another brand 200-watt panel, and so I thought, what the heck, let's give that a shot, see if it can handle that. And it did, no problem. And with that 200-watt panel, it was pulling in about 120 watts. So not bad. I mean, considering this is a 288 watt-hour power station, if you can crank in over 100 watts, you're gonna get this recharged pretty darn quick at camp. In the box, you get a standard brick power supply that connects to the XT60, so that plugs in here on the back. There's a lot of power station companies now that are going to the brickless style charging. So all you need is just like a standard computer cable and it plugs in. I'm okay that this doesn't. And the reason is, you know, for a power station this size, if they take away the brick and you put all that stuff in here, it makes this get a lot bigger. The whole point of having a little power station like this is to have a really small size, because you can take it places that you may not take a larger power station, like up in your tent for charging your phone and stuff at night. You don't want a big, you know, 500, 600, 1,000 watt power station up in your tent with you, taking up all the space, when you could just have a little guy like this keeping your phones and your watch and your tablets and, you know, all that sort of stuff charged. So I'm okay with the power supply. And another reason is this is not as picky about the type of plug that you are plugging this into. My Gladiator has a 400 watt inverter. It is a modified sine inverter, not a pure sine inverter. And all those other power stations with the, you know, with all the internals for charging, those require a pure sine inverter. So I can't plug those in my Gladiator. This, I can plug in my Gladiator keep this plugged into this, and as long as my Gladiator's running and I've got that inverter on, I can just keep this constantly charging while I'm using this to charge all my camera batteries and electronics and lights and stuff like that while I'm on the move, because this does have pass-through charging, and when I get to camp, all my stuff is charged. This is fully charged, and then I can pull this out, do whatever I need to with it at camp. So I don't mind the fact that this comes with the brick instead of the fancy internal charging. And then, you know, if your vehicle does not have an inverter, you've got the standard, you know, cigarette lighter input that plugs into the barrel port input here on the front. With this, you'll get a max of about 100 watts if you're lucky, usually low 90s out of a car charger port like this. So again, the very valid way to charge this for the use cases that I'll show you here in just a moment. You also get a quite detailed manual, so that's handy. And then in addition to this little strap, which you can take off, it's got some very beefy metal hinges here that all this wraps around. You have the option of a shoulder strap if you want to carry it that way. So, you know, maybe you're, I don't know. I honestly don't know why you need a shoulder strap, but you have the option if you want it. You know, you could use this to hang it from something and just for whatever reason. So I've never had a power station come with a shoulder strap before. I could see how this would come in handy. One neat trick that the Enernova ETA has up its sleeve is it does dual charging. Take your power supply brick, plug it here in the back, and then take a USB adapter. I'm using the brick for my laptop, my MacBook Pro here, and take that can output about 100 watts or so. Take this, plug this into the USB-C port here for input, and boom, you're charging it almost 200 watts, and in under 2 hours, you can have this thing fully charged, which, I mean, that's pretty darn good. Another thing I love about the Enernova ETA is that it has LiFePO4 battery chemistries inside, which means it's rated at over 3,000 cycles, or they say 10 years with normal use, and they back that up with a 5-year warranty. That's impressive. Some of the big names don't even have 5-year warranties. So that's real impressive. I do very much like that with the Enernova. Now, to test, you know, some things that you can do with this around camp, I did what I do with every power station that I review, and I plugged it into our Dometic CFX 355 IM 12-volt refrigerator just to see how long 288 watt hours will get you if you need to run a fridge off this little guy. And the good news is it came in at 16 hours and 57 minutes. For a power station this size, that's not bad. Now, but that means that you can roll into camp, unplug your fridge from your starter battery, plug it into this while you're at camp, you know, overnight while you're sleeping, so you don't have to worry about waking up to a dead starter battery when you get up. Get up in the morning, unplug this, plug your fridge back into your vehicle, 12 volt, and continue on your way. And this will for sure get you through the night. So that, you know, I don't recommend running a fridge off of a power station this size. I don't think that's really an ideal use case for a power station this size. But it's good to know that you can in a pinch, especially with that overnight type of situation where you don't want to run your starter battery down. This makes a pretty solid, pretty solid power system to just plug this into temporarily. Or you could keep it running off this, keep this plugged into your vehicle, and well, it's because of the pass-through, just keep your fridge running off of it. You get to camp, turn your vehicle off, power shuts off charging this because your vehicle's off, and then boom, the fridge is just running off this. That would actually work as well. So that could be a nice little use case for this if you're on the move each day and not staying at camp multiple days. If you're on an overlanding trip, changing campsites each night, on the move every day, that could be a valid option for just a very small and inexpensive way to keep that fridge running while your vehicle's off. So it's definitely a plausible scenario. Now, just to make sure the inverter will do what it says, I've got the hair dryer here. It's always a good test. I have it on low heat setting, and we'll go low fan. Let me make sure the AC is turned on. There we go. And pulling 467, 468, just under 500 watts, which is exactly what I would expect. So, you know, if you need to run something high powered like this while at camp, in a pinch, you can. You know, just don't exceed that 600 watts. Here's what happens if I go up to the hot setting. It's now running 580 watts. So low fan, high heat. But if I go up to high fan, it's not gonna do it. It's trying, but it's not gonna do it. So good to know that you can. Now, running something that's 600 watts on a power station that only has 288 watt hours, you're not gonna get much runtime from it. But, you know, 10, 15 minutes to dry your hair, no problem. That's nice. Let's talk about what I think are the two best use cases for a power supply like this. First, for me, I mean, I've got lots of electronics that I've got to keep charged on my trips. Filming lots, lots of radio, you know, talking between friends, stuff like that. So I constantly have things being charged in my Jeep while I'm on the move. So here's exactly what I do. Take a little power station like this. I plug it into the inverter that's in my Gladiator. If I don't have an inverter, I plug it into just the 12 volt cigarette lighter socket. And then I take all of my electronics and I keep them plugged into this. So right now I've got my handheld radios from Midland here. As one goes dead, I grab the charged one, put the dead one in here, just keep that constantly going. I've got my GoPro battery charger here. I've got my main Sony camera charger going here with 2 batteries in it. And then I've got my drone batteries going as well. All of these, because of the drone batteries, does consume more than what the little power brick will input. So you can see right now, I've got all this going and I'm consuming 6 watts. 6 watts, at 6 watts, I can just keep all this stuff charged all day. As my drone batteries get charged, let's unplug that. Now I have 116 watts coming in. So as this stuff cycles on and off, I'm currently using and charging this thing, and it works really, really well. You can see if I unplug the charger from it, I'm actually using almost 140 watts. Charging all this stuff, I'm using almost 140 watts. Plug this back in. Now that drops down to about 5 watts, 5-6 watts. That is a pretty awesome use case for something like this. Typically, I will keep this down in my front floorboard if I don't have a passenger with me. If I do have a passenger with me, it goes here in the back seat area. And this type of situation works awesome. This, you don't need a big 5, 6, 7,000 watt hour power station to do this. You just need a little guy like the Enernova ETA. It's perfect for this. And then the second main use case for the Enernova ETA is here in your tent. It doesn't matter if it's a rooftop tent or if it's a ground tent. This power station is perfect for being able to just, have a spot in your tent that's small, out of the way. I can tuck that up here. It's not going to interfere with my sleeping. I can put it down there by my feet. It's not going to bother me at all. But I can, plug my iPad into it as I watch TV, Netflix, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, whatever. Put this up here, hang this from here as I'm laying down and getting ready for just to unwind for the night. Obviously, I need to charge my watch. So plug that in. Got my phone needs to be charged overnight, so I'll just put that on the wireless charging pad there. And then, you know, depending on the temps, having a USB powered fan is sometimes a necessity. So running my USB fan off of it, which I would also, you know, hang from that to blow down on me while I'm sleeping. It's an awesome combination. All of this together, charging, you know, I'm pulling 34 watts, which will last me just fine through the night. Because once this stuff, you know, gets charged, it stops pulling power. So this does perfect for keeping phone, watch, iPads, fans going, that sort of thing. That's exactly what this is perfect for. I think one of the most compelling reasons to use the Enernova ETA for the two use cases that I demonstrated, and probably others, is its price. Normal retail price for this is $299, which is exactly what you'd expect for a 300-ish watt-hour power station. But at the time of this recording, there is an $85 coupon on Amazon, bringing this to $214. That's a heck of a deal. That brings this to 74 cents per watt hour. So I think that is a tremendous value for 600 watts of output, wireless charging pad, the lights, the fast charging, dual charging, 200 watts of solar input. I mean, it's a really good value. Now you can also get this bundled with the 100-watt solar panel, or you can also bundle it with their 200-watt solar panel. The 100-watt solar panel, that combo has a $50 discount, bringing the total to $409 for a power station like this, good quality solar panel like this that's waterproof and everything. Just over 400 bucks. I think that's also a heck of a deal. And you know, if you are gonna be stationed at camp for more than a night, be hanging out for the day, maybe 2 nights, whatever, highly recommend getting a solar panel to pair with it. That way you can just keep it topped off during the day, assuming you have sunlight, of course. But I think that's a heck of a value. Links and everything are in the description. So let me know what you think about the Enernova ETA. I think it's awesome. I'm not sure about this handle, although it has not gotten in the way. As with any power station, I wish they included more USB ports. For a power station this size, it's not bad. It's more than others give you. So I'll give you that. It's a lot more than Jackery gives you. So I'll give you that. The display is a good quality display. It's just missing one key piece of information. So can't dock it too much there. I just think it's solid. I really do. So let me know in the comments what you think about it. Let me know if there's some use cases for a small sub 300 watt hour power station that maybe I didn't think of. Let me know. There's only so much I own to test things, so there you go. Give the video a like if you would. Hit the subscribe button if you will. Please help us reach that goal of 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're real close. We're real close. We just crossed 81,000. So we've got, what, 5.5 months left? I think we can get there. But I need your help. So if you're not subscribed, if you think you're subscribed, go look. But just go check and hit that subscribe button if you would, please. And if you like what we're doing, you like these helpful videos, and you want to gain access to special content, special events, all of our GPS data from our trips, check out the Patreon link in the description and consider supporting us that way. And for Ozark Overland Adventures merchandise, go to shopoverlandapparel.com. I appreciate you watching. See you next time. Bye.